bring in Monica Porter, an attorney for the Bazelon Center for Mental Health Law, and Rishi Merchandani, a Yale alumnus and a plaintiff in this lawsuit. You know, when we hear about what's going on, Rishi, Monica, I mean, just hearing in the discussion from Miguel how heart-wrenching it is to think about the choices that students have had to make. And Rishi, you withdrew in 2018, and after a mental health crisis. You did describe the trouble in being allowed to return. You eventually did graduate, but talk to me about what your personal experience was like in grappling with the policies that you say Yale had.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for asking, and it's really amazing to be able to share this experience that's been so difficult for me and so many others over decades. When I was dealing with my mental health crisis, I felt like Yale was presenting me with a stark binary choice. I could either continue with a full-time schedule at Yale and all of the challenges that would come with, or I would have to commit to an extended absence in which I would have to give up university health insurance, on-campus housing, and every manner of institutional support that I had. That choice made things so difficult. And what I didn't understand at the time is I had the federally protected right to have more options on the table. Reasonable accommodations are critical to the way that mental health practices are properly achieved on campus.
Looking at this now, Rishi, do you have any idea as to why you thought, maybe at the time compared to now, that you believe Yale was making these challenging or having these hurdles in place?
There are a number of different reasons. I think that Yale tends to wash its hands off cases of mental illness that are too severe because they don't want to be associated with that student, right? They want the student to deal with their issues anywhere except Yale's campus. And in some instances, taking time off is a healthy decision. In other cases, it separates students from their primary support group. And so it really has to be a more case-by-case evaluation of what's best for the student, rather than a one-size-fits-all approach of, if you're really struggling, you need to get out.
I mean, Monica, just thinking about the choices, and for a lot of people, they might not realize that there is some right to having a menu of options in terms of how to have that support system, how it's structured, and what you are entitled to or not on, say, a college campus and a private institution is that. You in the lawsuit, focus on Yale's, quote, withdrawal policies, you say, and practices that push students with mental health disabilities out of Yale. Talk to me about what students are up against. And again, this is an issue obviously focused in this lawsuit on Yale, but we cannot think of this in a vacuum. The issues that are being presented are likely far more universal, which is very scary at a lot of campuses.
That's absolutely right. As was said earlier, this is part of a national issue. 1 in 5 American adults experience mental health disabilities, and suicide is a leading cause of death among college students. At the Bazelon Center, we receive calls from students and parents all over the country. We've been doing research and collecting data on campus mental health issues nationwide and using that to inform the policy change that we advocate for on a national level. We have found Yale to be a particularly egregious example. There are a lot of tricky facets to this issue, but as Rishi said, it can't be a blanket policy. It needs to be addressing each student case individually and exploring all reasonable accommodations as per federal law before resulting to something like exclusion.
So is the goal of the lawsuit, I mean, obviously, you know, a lot of litigation takes place behind closed doors. People are often incentivized to be a little bit quiet and hushed about things. You hear of non-disclosures and the like come into play. Is the goal of this litigation to be able to have and effectuate and implement more of a widespread approach that other universities could use as a blueprint?
Certainly. This case is seeking to have status as a class action so that we can represent all Yale students with mental health disabilities who have been harmed or who do fear the potential to be harmed by these policies in the future. And what we're seeking here, and why it is so brave of Rishi and other students, current and former, to be participating in this lawsuit, is that no one is seeking any sort of monetary gain. Purely, this lawsuit is seeking systemic policy change to make improvements for all Yale students moving forward. Certainly, our hope is that we can engage with experts and create Yale to help Yale to become what can be an example for schools nationwide.
Rishi, your bravery requires the last word. What is your message to students who are looking at you right now and hopeful?
Yeah, well, I want students to know that we care about them and we're taking these actions in the court of law out of sincere loyalty and love for the Yale community. And we want students to know that there is a possibility of light at the end of the tunnel of graduating and being able to support others.
Rishi Merchandani and Monica, thank you so much. Monica Porter, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.